Hi, everybody. We're talking about Metal Warrior Search for Valhalla. I'm Michael.
I'm Daniel.
This is our first iteration of the game, and I just thought I'll show this at the start, just so you can see what we're actually talking about.
Yeah.
And it was just the wolf running around with the background, two parts of the background moving nicely, and just to get familiar with working with sprites and doing a little bit of programming.
And literally, that's all in the one main file at this point. This is spaghetti code, just getting it to function, because we had no idea about the game engine itself. So it was more of a test to get it all working. So
so why did we do the game? Well, my friend here wanted to get into programming, and we want to use that as some sort of mentoring aid, and also to have fun. We chose a topic that we both enjoy, metal music, and we thought of some creatures to fight, and they had to be on an album cover. So there was wolves, there was eagles, that sort of thing. But we landed with the wolf, and just to broaden our skills and check out DragonRuby. Essentially, cool.
For me, it was same sort of idea, but we'd been doing projects for a long time, mainly microcontroller, sort of Arduino based, C type things. And I was accustomed to that, but that's very old school to some degree. And I asked Mick, can you show me the new world of programming, and introduced me to Ruby, which led to a full stack project we did. He introduced me to Nginx and Ruby on Rails. Once we got to Ruby on Rails, I didn't really know what was going on. So when he said there's a game engine where you could possibly learn Ruby, the syntax itself, I go, let's take a deep dive in that. It's probably better I start off from there than going to Ruby on Rails, which I was getting a bit
it simplifies things.
So,
so the pros of using DragonRuby, I've used a few different game engines before, but this seems to take it to the next level of introducing a physics engine. And I like the fact that it outputted to, the output was binary files for all the different operating systems, mobile phones, and you could go further. It does reportedly work on Nintendo Switch and Xbox and PlayStation, but you have to sort of contact them for that. But out of the box, you do get all the different operating systems. Pretty easy to start as well. The cons I find are the lack of documentation. There is a good book that's for free, but there's not a lot of people using it out there. Not as much as Pygame, where Python's used in schools, and then it seems like everybody's using Pygame. There's heaps of blogs about it, examples, YouTube videos. There's not that much. Actually, there's a few main guys, but it's pretty limited. So Daniel's going to talk about some of the funny things.
Some of the
quirks.
So I don't think this is a DragonRuby specific thing. I think it's any game engine. But when you have sprite sheets, you have X amount of characters doing certain moves. They might be spread out over this one big sheet. Getting the dimensions right, the spaces all centered as it loops over, is very important, or you get the sprites jerking backwards, forwards, not appearing at all. So that can be a problem we found, because some sprite sheets go vertically, some go horizontally, some have so much white space, the characters in the middle. And getting it right was one of the hardest parts, I think, we found. I don't know if it's a DragonRuby problem, but that was actually a massive problem. No, this is one problem that Mick encountered. He was programming the end of game, where it's a static sprite, but it jumps into this castle, which is in the foreground. As it was decreasing in size, -1 each increment, it got to 0 and then -1. And for some reason, the DragonRuby engine started increasing the size to the fact it took up the whole screen. So that was another quirk we found.
Our main heroes took the whole screen.
So there's a method in DragonRuby called Intersect rect. You pass in two parameters, or like a hash, an array, an object, I guess, as well. Just passing two things. And if the rectangles intersect, it's true, and you can do whatever you want with it. This goes back to the sprite problem again. We had issues because we used the rectangle from the sprite sheet. So the main character might have been in the middle, but there was so much empty space between it that the actual rectangle wasn't actually interacting with the characters right next to it, or it was when it wasn't meant to be. So
even if it's transparent.
Yeah, I think we got around that in the end by just making a fake hash to say, just take it half of the character and sort of, fudged it a bit.
That's right.
So yeah, and the wolves got confused because they couldn't tell which side of the player they were on because the actual rectangle was massive. So yeah.
So we just talk about some of the issues that we had as well.
Yeah. So with actually we'll probably talk about this a bit later, but we started off with the side scrolling, that initial demo you might see at the start, going left and right. We decided to break it down into classes with inheritance. So we'd have an animal class that included the character, all the animals, pretty much anything that was interacting in the world. We had issues with that, which we will talk about later. So then we stripped it back just to classes. And then we thought, we're still having a bit of issues. Let's take it just one character, one animal, and let's get rid of scrolling. Let's get that fundamental part right, which is the final part for the moment. Let's get that right, and then we can extend it in the future. So we really, reduced the scope as we found issues as it went along. So, nice to meet you again. So, so this is another thing that Mick Mentor brought up. I had some issues where I want to do something and I have not had that experience in Ruby yet. So he said, try this method. The .sum was one, for example, and it just wasn't working. I think there was a few others too. And then after looking into it, we realized that it's mRuby based. So it's fairly more limited than your standard Ruby, like no gems. A lot of the methods are missing. So that's something to keep in mind. We had to sort of use workarounds for that particular thing. That's me again. Okay, so I still don't really know the answer to this, but we've found most examples you find on the internet, and even their personal examples, the game itself is just in the main RB file. It's a series of methods that keep getting called over, and it takes sort of a file that just keep iterating, and that's why we found most things, apart from one guy, I think, or one or two guys we found.
One blog.
So so we that's how we started, but then we said, let's go against the grain and let's break it into classes. And that's the method we're taking so far, which is good because we're exploring new territory in a sense, because we couldn't find any examples of really like a DragonRuby class-based system.
Apart from one blog that would really help us.
Sorry, I don't know if you want to take questions.
No, yeah, for it,
But then you might come to it later. Because mRuby doesn't have a require, correct?
That's right, yeah.
So how do you do that?
It's
It had a required,
Yeah, you can require in DragonRuby.
Yeah, maybe that's part of DragonRuby though. I didn't think it had mRuby itself had require.
Does not have
require. Because when we went to
anyway,
you
do a code sample later on.
Yeah, I can. So when we started to split it up into classes, we quickly found that we couldn't access most of the methods and attributes that DragonRuby was exposing, and that started to make it really hard. We couldn't actually. DragonRuby has this objects that you can talk to get any input from the keyboard. It also has attributes that you can see what state you're at, also what the ticker count. So it's 60 ticks per second. You had none of that until we found on a guy's blog posts that you have to add two different things. You've got to add a Sprite, which gives you all of the attributes to your sprite, X, Y, and height and width and everything like that, and also gives you collision detection. which is very handy. And then Atto GTK, this is where you get to interact with the user for input and to the screen and your timer. That all comes in with that that you have to define at the top of your class, just like I have there. And then, yeah, we did play around with inheritance, but and I was just trying to show Daniel how it works and to use it sparingly or not at all. And we started off with an animal and then inherited all our creatures from that, including the hero. But quickly we found that, you know, some of them were on the ground, like a wolf, and that then we had another metal creature, an eagle, right? And it's flying, so it has, yeah, it's not using its legs, it's attacking from the sky. Basically, we were duplicating a lot of the common methods in the top class and then inheriting those, not using them. It was getting very messy, so we stepped away from that a little bit and probably shouldn't use it as much. Yeah, and then
this is pretty straightforward. Yeah. I forget the price, but you pay for DragonRuby a certain amount.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. It's about $30, $40.
$30, but also there's a way to get it free if you're
once a year.
There's some look on the website, it'll explain how to get it. You either pay to get it for free if you're a student or something like that. So, but once you get it, it's just a zip file. You uninstall it, and you pretty much you go to the mygame.rb where it is in the main file, and you start coding away. That's DragonRuby to run it. The itch.io part was really straightforward. That was easy. You just follow the steps. It works out fine. That part, the US tax law, Mick did. I just stood away.
That's where you sort of glazed over.
I just fell asleep. Didn't take care of that. So I'm not sure how hard it was.
It's just a lot of ticking of boxes. The actual process is quite.
Sorry, the itch.io is to distribute the game.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's like Steam, but it's for independent game programmers to polish your game, and it also takes care of compiling it into separate binary files for all the different operating systems. And there is a shortcut. Once you get it all set up, you can actually do a little shortcut where DragonRuby will post your game up straight from your GitHub or wherever. Yep. Okay, here comes the exciting part where we demo the game live. What could go wrong? Okay. Whoa, it takes up the whole screen. There we go. That's good. Okay, so this is the intro screen that we did the other day. You probably won't hear the volume, but I'll turn it up to max. I'll turn it up to 11, so we'll get that going. Yeah, so you get to attack these little wolves. This is your hero. It's got a cape.
60-second timer.
60-second timer.
And I put a little Easter egg for Mick at one stage. Once you get that, instead of managing to get a lightning bolt off your head, you can put all the girls that appear there. So.
You can't really hear it, but there is very fast speed metal going on. And we will just try to get to the ending, which is only 20 seconds away, so just bear with us. Yeah.
You could, but we took it out. We're really everything's got you can't scroll, you can't go to the place. It's basically a moment.
So we're nearly there.
This is like the first one.
Right.
Okay,
I made it. So you fought a glorious battle. Welcome to Valhalla. This is a picture I got off Wikipedia. Yeah, so it goes over there into the Great Hall, and then he's in Valhalla. That's the photo of Wikipedia. Enjoying your 2 beers and everything like that, I think. Anyway, that's that's the game. That's the game demo. Didn't crash anything. Oh my god. Well, that sums it up. And the conclusion is, I suppose, that pick your sprite sheets properly. Spend a bit of time working that out, because you don't want too much width for attacks and everything. You want your sprite sheets pretty tight.
Also, I think that game programming is a science unto itself, no matter what the language. So there's probably a few things with missed a standard way to do it
I think
because
so.
yeah. So yep. So
Yeah, and also if you're going to break it up into classes, use the Atta GPK and Atta Sprite, and remember that you're working with MRuby, so half the crap that you do in Ruby you can't do. So anyway, yeah, that's it. There's all our references. There's a link to our game at the top if you want to go and check it out. I'll publish these on the Slack channel, and then there's a book that really helped us that's published for free. Or you can donate to the author. And the Drifting Ruby YouTube link was actually a great introduction. If you just want to check it out, that's a free one from him. And then there's some podcasts there from the author himself. Anyway, that's how to contact us. And yeah, any questions?
Do you guys have any sales?
No, we just published it before we walked in.
an hour ago, I think was it?
Each IO, you can actually pay for the game and give a donation if you want to. Yeah.
Oh god,
So
many like
there's so many. Yeah, I want to actually have a little guitar drop, and then you would pick it up, and then as you're playing the guitar, all the animals are hypnotized. And then they glow red and they just explode. But you wanted to fight multiple creatures in different stages.
yeah, like
Yeah.
like on a Viking ship, and yeah, there's lots. This is like a template for the moment because we wouldn't mind changing the sprites themselves to more what we want to actually be in the game and
get them designed properly.
Yeah.
We want to go through all of the different metal creatures in height. So start with a rat and then go all the way out to a raging bull. So yeah.
And also I wouldn't mind recording my own music for that as well. So
yeah.
yeah.
Another reason why we call it Metal Warrior Search for Valhalla is because we want to have like a 3-part series where you're also a Viking out in the sea. Anyway.
Lots of goals. So
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Favorite metal bands and bands that inspire.
Manowar. Yeah.
Manowar, probably.
Manowar, Judas Priest. Jeez.
Yeah.
You have to pay rights for music, or are they?
No, that's all
Yeah, everything is-
royalty
yeah.
royalty free. Yes, I've read a lot of small print in the last plus buying a house. I've read a lot of small print too to get glasses. But yeah, you definitely check over anything that you all the sprites and everything that you download to put into your game, the music included, everything you got to check. You got to double check and make sure that it can be used, whether you've got to give a credit or pay money, all that sort of stuff. So yes. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.